Start us off, Carter.
Hey everyone, it's me, an apple. And as the school year carries on, I thought I would start a series about all the different kinds of apples. So today we are going to be talking about Fuji apples. They're red and a little yellow, and they pack a very flavorful bite. And now to today's sponsor, SeatGeek. Hey, have you ever wanted to hate the experience of looking at your computer even more than you already do? Well, I got the app for you. But actually, this is Don't Sleep on Football. Carter here.
And I am a fan of the Cosmic Crisp Apple.
Cosmic Crisp Apple. What the hell is that? Is that
It's
real?
it's a legitimate type of apple that was genetically manufactured in, I believe, Washington and or Oregon. And fun fact, one of the groups I watch was they were doing this tournament to determine what is the best type of apple, and that is the apple that won
Hmm.
and stuff. And one thing led to another, and they had episodes legitimately sponsored by a fucking apple. Think
Like a
about that.
sentient. I'm just
No,
imagining
no,
like a sentient apple.
yeah, not like Mr. J. Applesberry. Like it was the Cosmic Crisp apple. Like check it out. It's good. It was actually scientifically made. Fun fact.
Why do they call it cosmic though?
Space. It's out of
But
this world.
I, oh, all right, fucking all right then. I mean, I just in general love like when scientists name things, they try to do it like sometimes they'll use like Latin names or they'll try to do like logical names. I
Hmm.
love when they're just like either name it after themselves or come up with some dumb cool name just because it's like whatever, we can call it whatever we want.
That's about 75% of the animal world. Is their scientific name is just what's it called? Their last name with a couple of I's at the end.
Right. Or like there's an element that's like Einsteinium and I'm like, hell yeah. That more of that. More just like you found a cool thing, name it after you. Or you made a cool thing. Own it. Um I don't know what that intro was, but we are here for week 4. We are officially a quarter through the season. Well, I still don't acknowledge the extra game that
Of
we
course you
added for
don't.
stupid reasons. So, in my head, this is officially the quarter point of the year. It is time to take stock. It is time to look at all the teams, figure out who's a contender, who's a pretender. And now, if you overreact to a single individual loss, you are completely valid. You are completely correct. You can overreact now. That's just being logical. Shall we kick it off with the highlights?
Sure. I would actually say I think we're out. We're past that. Let's let's see the paces of the
Mhm.
team's point. Kind of going off of your quarter of the way through the season thing,
Yeah.
and the post season or the post preseason like world of who knows what's going to happen is done with. The teams are hitting their strides,
Mhm.
and yeah, I feel like it's a different game now than it
Right.
was.
I feel like it's actually like now we actually know who like the story of the season like who are going to be the important parts of the season. I feel like because even through like week 3, you can still like lie to yourself and talk yourself into the idea of like well, once their new players get acclimated, once the
Mm-hmm.
rookies get acclimated, there's so many qualifiers you can do through the first couple weeks. I feel like you just lose that by the time you've literally already played a quarter of the season. At some point, it's like, no, this is kind of who your team is.
Yeah,
Of course, some things change, but like not enough to really like. I don't know. It is who it is, as they put it.
it
They are who
is
we thought they were. Remember
what it
that?
is. Yeah.
That was a core memory for me early football because that was like the first season I really got into football. That Reggie Bush rookie season.
Mm-hmm.
The Super Bowl that year was uh, Bears Colts. And the Cardinals, it was the Cardinals versus the Bears. They end up losing on 2 defensive touchdowns. And the Cardinals coach loses his shit and does that whole, they are who we thought they were. And then when he explained it, I was like, oh, that actually makes a lot of sense. He's like, yeah, I told the team we can't make mental errors. We can't give them turnovers because they can't score enough on offense to beat us. And I'm like, all right, maybe if you just didn't yell it at everyone, you wouldn't have become a meme. People would have been like, sage, wise advice, Sun Tzu. Anyway, so our first highlight, and we like to acknowledge when there are new quarterbacks in the game, when rookies do cool things, because that's always a highlight for us. The Dart Frat gets the win. And your note, Scat is the living personification of the Tasmanian devil.
Tell me I'm wrong.
Yeah,
Tell me that's not.
I mean, you're
Cam Scat
not.
again.
But yes, the New York Giants in their home game this week played the Los Angeles Chargers and won 21-18 in rookie Jackson Dart's debut. It truly was a sort of highs and lows sort of game because early in the game they ended up losing Malik Neighbors to a pretty catastrophic ACL injury. I'm pretty sure it was the same side that took out Odell.
And I'm pretty sure he's done, like the same side of the field or the same side of the leg.
Field.
Okay.
I didn't get that deep into it.
I think this is kind of crazy. This concept of them winning. Not
Right.
because it's like, oh, it's the Giants. They're not like a great team, because that's part of the factor. But
Mm-hmm.
their main option on for throwing, Malik Neighbors, is done for the season, I think. Or
Oh, he's out. Yeah, he might not
he's
even. It's going to be a while till we see him again.
yeah, like maybe if things go perfectly good as of right now, a week 18 like sideline appearance.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't think he's gonna touch another snap this season in the slightest. And he's a great receiver. So
Right.
winning despite that, kinda nuts. Dude only got 20
Right.
yards in.
Right. Well, that's a fascinating part because it truly was like the highs and lows of a football game because pretty much right, like off the bat, the Giants march down the field. Jackson Dart takes a scramble into the end zone. And people are losing their minds. This is what they wanted. Again, this team is not nearly as bad as their record has suggested. The problem was, again, they've just been dependent on quarterback play that isn't there. Russell, Russell Wilson truly had only one ability he had left, and it's to throw the football as far as he can downfield. And it's like,
He's out of this world of scrambling.
yes. And it's like Dart isn't doing anything profound. They're keeping it relatively simple. They're like,
He's young
he's
and
taking
fresh.
sacks. Yes,
That's it.
but he's like not turning the ball over and he has enough athleticism to get yards on the ground. And then you just feel the air completely suck out of the room the minute Neighbors goes down and you're like, okay, here we go. They're going to lose their momentum. It's going to be, the Chargers, who are like everyone's darling team right now because they're well, I guess were undefeated.
Yeah.
They're going to come in and win. And then it kind of just was like exactly everything you wanted to see from the New York Giants in terms of like elite pass rush, competent enough skill position players. Just again, if you can get to 21 points with as much of a pass rush as you have, you should win the game.
Yeah.
It also really hurt the Chargers that about a quarter of a half through the game, Joe Alt went down. They are now down to both of their backup tackles, and I think really was like, oh no, they're not going to be able to come back.
So you have some teams like the Eagles where I think it happened last week.
Mm-hmm.
Lane Johnson goes down, and he's out. And then you have some tackles like his first backup, who was just eh.
Mm-hmm.
And then you have Big Fred Johnson switch in, who's an outstanding backup tackle. And I don't think that the Chargers have that. Like Alt is good, we can't deny that.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I don't think they can.
It really was
rebuttal that.
God. This is such a bleak reference, but it really was when those first returns from like Virginia and Kentucky were coming in. Like, the first places during the election that announce, like the suburbs that announce their results, there's like an understanding of like Democrats need to get X amount of votes to really be in this race. And when Kamala's totals were coming in almost immediate, literally from like the polls closing to 7 to 7:15, everyone just going like, "Oh no." And just
Yeah.
watching this game, you just felt that with the Chargers offense where you're like, "Oh, they can't move anymore. They can kind of run the ball." Marion Hampton actually looked really, really good this game. But like their pass offense just went into a ditch. And it's like, and it's not their fault. It's like,
No.
you go into a game expecting to have an all pro left tackle, and then you don't. And that's hard to adapt to. But it was really fascinating. Like, if nothing else, I do think this game, regardless of what happens to the Giants the rest of the way, will they make the playoffs? Probably not. I do think Jackson Dart, like, you can see Jackson Dart is raw enough that it's like, once teams get a little tape on him, he'll have to,
He's
he
gonna
still has
have
to
to
develop.
work.
He has to learn how to play quarterback. The plan was not to play him this early. But I do think it's at least fun. It's the most energy MetLife Stadium has had in God knows how
Yeah.
long, where it seems like the fans are like actually excited to watch their football team.
Yeah, because they're not
Between
gonna get
that,
that from the Jets.
right, who are still winless at this point, I believe. But like, yes, the first New York team to get a win, and it was kind of this weird duo of
They
Cam
got.
Scatterbo and Jackson Dart.
They gave the
The
Dolphins their first win. I'm just saying. The Jets
oh
did.
god, yes. Oh right, that was this week. Yes. Well, I called them the Dart Frat, but I'm realizing we really should just call them the Frat Pack as a play on Sinatra's Rat Pack.
Honestly, it kind of is a very frat packy vibe.
Yeah, I'll put that in the New York Giants Discord or not Discord, Reddit.
Discord,
See
Reddit.
if anyone goes for it. Yeah,
Just
I love the idea that the New York Giants, one of the
r
most famous
slash New
sports
York
teams in all
Giants.
the world.
Just a
Yes.
post from Carter. Hey, is this something?
Yeah, do we have anything here, guys? Do you like this?
No,
Hi, Bills fan comes in peace.
I think. I think this is one of those things where their season. I'm not saying is saved with Jackson Dart, but their season is at least found to be not just a wash.
Right, there's a point to this season is I think the ultimate.
Yeah.
Like again, think about how thinking about how many teams like it feels like after week 1 or 2 it's like, yeah, we're just trying to get a draft pick at this point. Like the guys are going to try their best, but there's really nothing to look forward to. At least you have something to look forward to of
Yeah.
like, hey, let's see what these guys can do. Like there's guys on this team who I like to watch and let me watch them do cool stuff. Again, it is like I know the Jackson Dart to Josh Allen comparison is getting tiresome, but like it really was that season, like the Bills season that year, they kind of had to the like they had no intention of playing Josh Allen that first year. They literally like purged their salary cap, full no face, like puking his guts out. You can tell what we did on Disney Desk this week. Longest episode ever, by the way. But it like they had no plans to play Josh Allen. But then Nathan Peterman was so bad, so putrid and awful in their first game. Basically, that was the year I think someone Vernon Davis or not Vernon Davis, but some cornerback retired.
Nope.
Yes, he retired.
No, you're looking for.
No, it isn't. But do you remember it was like a Bills cornerback retired at halftime of their first game? It's one of my favorite Tre'Davious White interviews. He was like recounting how that happened, and he's like doing a voice. He's like, yeah, and he just kept going, I don't got it in me anymore. And I'm like, bitch, then why the fuck did you go through the whole training camp?
That was kind of crazy. Like
that's how bad it was, though. And it literally was like, if you don't put Josh Allen in, we're going to like fine you for throwing games. But there was that one game against Minnesota where he scored like 3 touchdowns. He leaped over a guy for the first time, and you're like, I suddenly care about this team now. I suddenly want to watch the games.
Yeah.
Like it's not just something you check on your phone out of like blood obligation,
Yeah,
I guess.
You're not sitting there like mowing the lawn. I don't know why that's my example, but it is. And it's just
Have you ever mowed a lawn?
Yeah. All the time growing up.
Really?
I was
Huh,
my family's
I never did.
landscaper for years.
Huh. I guess my family's kind of waspy in that respect, but
But it's like, yeah, I would keep tabs on games and stuff like while I was mowing the lawn. But it's like because it was like, all right, we're in a very big rut at this moment. I have no real reason to be like, I need to see every single one of these games. But I feel like this relief from Jackson Dart is like, oh, I should sit down and watch the Giants. I don't need to be like, oh, this is a waste of time slot for me. I'm going to do something else. I could actually sit here and I might not win,
But I'll have
it's going
fun.
to be
And
more
it's like
entertaining.
right. It's like at the end of the day, it's like, can we have fucking fun? Can I have fun watching grown adults play a baby sport for children? Like,
Yeah.
like if I'm going to have a parasocial relationship with 53 men who I'll never meet, like, can I at least have a good time?
Mm-hmm.
Um, shall we move on to Caleb and Genty silencing the concerns? A weird, weird game in Las Vegas. The Chicago Bears played the Las Vegas. I almost said Oakland again. Almost said Oakland. God, we really need to have a discussion. That I guess it's more like cross sports. How bad Oakland's gotten fucked between Golden State moving, between the Oakland A's. Like, what's wrong with Oakland? But anyway, so this was a weird game because it was kind of worst case scenario for both teams for the first chunk. For the Bears, they just could not get anything going on offense. I believe that I'm pretty sure that oh my god, I'm blanking on his name again. Jesus. I'm pretty sure that Max Crosby had 2 or maybe even 2.5 sacks going into half. He managed to intercept Caleb Williams. A full grown man deflects and catches the ball himself.
Mm-hmm.
Like they just could. It was like the classic like. It was one of those classic why you pay defensive ends because a really good pass rusher really can just one man army a offense into submission. Where it's like, oh, we can't block this one single guy. I guess we don't get to play offense today. Sorry, everyone. I guess you can go home. And then on the other end of the spectrum, it was the Geno continues to throw interceptions show, and a truly maybe the worst fumble I've ever seen in my life, or like most catastrophic looking fumble I've ever seen in my life. They decide to go for it on 4th and 1, hand it off to Genty. Not only does he get absolutely positively stuffed 5 yards behind the line of scrimmage, but the impact is so strong, the ball ricochets away and like bounces 10 yards behind him. I've never seen an impact on a play like that. And it really was like, oh man, is the Caleb renaissance not true? And also, is Ashton Genty actually bad? And
I don't know.
but then there's the redemption.
There's the redemption. This is one of those games where it's just like it's kind of wild to watch because I feel like it's like one part each team being like kind of good and one part each team kind of clearly blowing it. Where I think I liked this game. That's it.
That's a great way of putting it. It was a weird watch. But well, you're exactly right because it's like, okay, what's the problems with the Bears? Their offensive line's a little sketchy. They still can't really run the ball. And like every now and then Caleb will try to do just a little too much and get into chaos. But when it's good, you're like, oh, this is a Ben Johnson offense. Yeah. Everyone's getting involved. Caleb is learning how to play in structure and do just enough of the razzle dazzle to remind you why he was a first overall pick. And then on the other end, it's like, you know, there was a lot of faith that Geno's kind of off year last year was an abrasion, and he proceeds to throw 3 interceptions in this game. And also, again, the offensive line is really ass.
Just saying.
Yep. Yes, I am. Well, yes, that's why we made the gentleman's trade. You get Hurts, I get Cook. We solve both of our problems, theoretically, anyway. And it's like maybe
I was missing a star QB. That's it.
I mean, in a perfect world, to solve my problems, if as long as we're not playing, as long as we're not playing a decent run defense. But anyway, but yeah, like, oh, maybe you don't draft a running back 6 overall when you don't have an offensive line. But then the second half is truly like pure nail, like pure like banger after banger. Yeah. Caleb throws this gorgeous, and it's like it's a perfect example of arm strength not being a test of like how physically far you can throw a ball, but like how you can weave it past people. I think there were like 3 defenders who, if the ball was thrown any less hard, would have had a play on it, manages to weave it through them for like a 20-yard touchdown. And then Genty just basically, it like truly just recalled to life. Between them getting him more involved in the passing game and a truly gorgeous 60-yard rumbling, bumbling, stumbling,
That
one
was
play, 64-yard
great.
touchdown. And I'm like, guys, he's good. The team isn't good, but he is good.
I
He's gonna be
think
okay.
I think that he's in the situation like Saquon was with the Giants,
Mm-hmm.
where it's just like he's he's behind an wall. Like they got
Mm-hmm.
some strength, but it's not amazing.
Mm-hmm.
And the second he gets behind a remotely decent, we're gonna make a hole for you group, is I think the second he goes from like kind of a threat to a huge threat.
It's no incident that like the entire second half, the offensive line was much better, and it's like, oh, he looks a lot better. Also, did you just sneeze?
Yes, thank you.
Bless you. Um, but like, yeah, and I also think like the wish casting for the Raiders was the idea of like, all right, Gino had kind of an off year last year, but the Seahawks, like, they were kind of getting ready to move on from him, and
Yeah.
also the offensive line wasn't very
Pete
good.
Carroll was gone.
Unfortunately, his play, yeah, Pete Carroll's not there. Like, again, it's a whole regime change, but like, and that always hurts the quarterback the most. But unfortunately, it seems like the bad play is following him, and it's like it's also just very hard to run the ball when your quarterback, you're limited in how much you can do with a quarterback because he's throwing interceptions like they're going out of style. um, and then that complete, and like we could just talk about this game in the abstract of like seeing sort of new faces of the league play as good as we want them to. And I forgot it ended on a blocked kick.
Yeah.
It ended on the Bears win because they managed to another blocked kick to upset the Raiders.
I mean, it's a great way to end a game, in my opinion. I love, I love a good suspenseful ending, but
As much as I'm not a subscriber of the Field Goals Win Games Committee, um, I will say, man, there is something like delightfully anxious about watching
it's
this like pencil penis fellow lineup. For I should not refer to kickers like
no, you should
that.
not. That was
This
weird.
this like this wispy little this wispy little fella kick to decide, we've been fighting for 60 minutes. This guy who's been on the field for like 5 plays, go decide how this ends.
I think, I mean, we saw it last week with Jordan Davis and his beautiful ending of the game. But I think,
Hmm.
and I talked about it a little then, where because of the new kicking style and stuff like that, you see a lot more line drive kickers. And with that, they're not getting as high, so kicks and stuff are getting pretty there. Although you don't really have that with the. It's. No, it's Carlson, right? The
Hmm.
the kicker for the Raiders.
Yes.
Um, like I would say he's still old school enough that it's like he can still be one of those. I'm just gonna boot the shit out of this, whether I like it or not.
Hmm.
But you have like this blocked kick thing that is surprisingly common. There was like what three in like a 10-minute span last week,
Oh
and
God, yeah.
because it was the Eagles, the Browns, and the Jets also had one, I think. And that's becoming the most electric play because it's kind of got the same moxie as the unpredicted onside kick, but you can't do that anymore.
Right. It's like I guess that right. It's like it's funny. It's like special teams is on like a slider where you can't have all of the switches turned at once. So
Mm-hmm.
we either get exciting onside kicks or we get kickoffs and blocked kicks. Like one of those has to stay down so we can get the others. And I'm
Yeah,
like, well, I still miss onside kicks, but at least we're getting cool stuff, different cool
we're
stuff now.
yeah. I also I'm pretty sure I said this where it's just like I am kind of a fan of how they adjusted the rules from last season.
Hmm.
I'm still not the biggest fan of it, but I at least like it that it's like, all right, this isn't just kind of bogus. This is solid.
Mhm.
We're not we're not too crazy, and we're all pretty adjusted to this.
Right. The only people who don't like it are fantasy and gambling addicts who are like, they're not throwing for as many yards because they get the ball too soon.
Meh.
And I'm like, I don't care. Like, I have an unhealthy parasocial relationship with fantasy, but I don't care about it that much. Just get me my touchdowns, fellas. But it is very fitting that you mentioned the Saquon Barkley thing, which Ashton Genty, because he did, during some interviews during the draft process, mention I could be a Saquon Barkley level impact right away. And I'm like, buddy, you understand the moral of that story was he had to leave a bad team to go to a good team, right?
Yeah, you can have that impact, but you gotta know.
Hope your knees still work in 5 years.
You also have to know if you're like arguably the top prospect of your position group,
Hmm.
you're not going to a good team right off the bat, unless if something crazy happens.
Right. Yeah, unless you have a team who like thought ahead to trade a first round pick the year before to get one this year. Like,
Yeah,
I feel like we've had more decent teams get early picks in the last few years, and it truly is just the like stock speculation of like, well, if I give this bad team my first overall pick
yeah.
this year,
Like you
I
have
could
the
get a better
Eagles
pick next
trading
year.
around and getting a steal with Jordan Davis, and
Mhm.
then the following year, I wouldn't say getting a steal with Jalen Carter, not in terms of skill, but it was just like the aura about him going into the draft was real low, so I'm not surprised he dropped um, down a decent bit before that. But it's
Right.
like
There's reason. I do get
that's one of
annoyed
those
when
ones
they're
that's
like,
just
"Why
like,
didn't people just draft him?" And I'm like, "You know damn well why.
yeah, the people didn't like him. That was it.
They still don't like him
Yeah, still
for
don't
other
have love.
reasons."
But it's that was one of those things where it's just like, all right, I could see this. But it's like if you know vibes are good about you, like Genty, and you
Mhm.
are like top two, I would say is the lowest I think he dropped. I'm trying to remember months ago now. Like of running backs, it's like okay, we might
I'm-
like
Let me check the draft order.
I don't yeah, but he went so early because you're a highly sought position for teams that are like, oh, we need somebody like this. You're not like, oh, we can enhance our team with someone like Genty and put him on like your Eagles, your Bills, your
Mhm.
Buccaneers. It's like, oh, we need we need playmakers. We're gonna go to
Yeah.
your Raiders, your
Right.
Giants,
It was a
your
flashy, sexy pick for a team that thought it was further ahead than it seems to right now.
mm-hmm.
Um, yeah, honestly, looking at it, if he had just fallen like literally like 5 more picks to the Chicago Bears, because really, it's like, what's wrong with the Bears right now? It's like, well, DeAndre Swift's just really not cutting it production wise right now, and I'm like,
I wouldn't say he's
look,
having a bad season, but I can agree to he's not cutting it.
a horribly unremarkable. Again, we've talked about him. He is in one of the. He's might be the apex of like, and in Buffalo, I call it the Ray Davis effect of like, if you have a good offensive line, he looks really good. If you have an okay offensive line, he looks okay. If you have a bad offensive line, he looks like absolute dog water. Um, and like, you kind of want like if you had Genty, you would be plussing everything because again, Genty is a good like he is a running back who elevates his team, like Saquon, where he can more or less overcome a bad offensive line. Again, he is fighting for his life on every play, but he's still getting production.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
You give him that
yeah,
little bit of room to not fight for his life, and he's going to be
right.
great.
And I really do think the difference between these two teams is the Bears' offensive line is just good enough that he wouldn't be fighting for his life on every play, but the Raiders is not, and that's why his analytic numbers are freaking insane. Um, Incidentally, I heard a rumor that apparently the Chargers didn't want to draft Omarion Hampton, or at least like they were trying to trade the pick to the Eagles, only to like the Eagles didn't get the trade in time. I want to research that more before I say that it's gospel, but something to come back to.
That's yeah, that's something that could be like game changer.
Right. I'm like, what if they got a Marion Hampton? Or honestly, you know what would
No, the Eagles
make the
wouldn't
Eagles
have
better right
picked up
now?
Hampton. The Eagles would have
Yeah.
picked up whoever the best DB at the time was, specifically safety.
Right, I am Yeah. Oh, they probably wanted Malachi Starks or
That's
something.
who I think
Um,
they would have gotten if they had been before
he,
the Ravens. I think the Raven he
yes,
Starks went to the
he went
Ravens.
27th. I mean, the Bills really fucking needed him. Ay vey. I'll go in my rant. I'll save my. I know I'm gonna rant about the Bills. Like, I'll wait till the bye week to rant about the Bills drafting stuff because it's only week 4 and already this draft class looks catastrophic outside of the blocking
If
tight end they got of all things. But
yeah,
anyway, um, uh, KC looks like an enjoyable team again. Sort of like the most hyped game of the week, arguably outside of the Micah Parsons, the prodigal son returning, was
yeah,
Kansas City,
Revenge
Baltimore, and
Bowl.
they kind of just put a shellacking on the Baltimore Ravens. It
It
is
was
another like the
insane.
score looks better than it actually was. The Ravens got a late touchdown in the fourth quarter, um, with only a minute to go, and again, I think so much of the talk about Kansas City is, when you're winning Super Bowls, you can talk yourself into anything, right? Like, because
Yeah,
that's what matters. That's all we're doing. That's what we're doing this for,
it's
to win Super Bowls.
yeah.
So, like, when you're watching this version of the Kansas City Chiefs dink and dunk and slowly grind out wins with like superior offensive
Hmm.
coaching and like, you know, 5-yard passes, you're like, okay, this is a little boring, but like we're winning and that's what matters. And then when you lose a Super Bowl in catastrophic fashion, you're like,
You
actually,
get
this is all kind of fucked
humiliated.
up.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're like, this is not fun anymore. Xavier Worthy finally came back this week, and it is kind of crazy how this one piece really did. You're like, all of this makes so much more sense and is infinitely more
Hmm.
fun. It felt like they made it a point to sling it around the yard. I don't remember the last time Patrick Mahomes threw 37 balls, but it felt way more effortless than it has as of late. And it really is just that one speed element seems to fix a lot of problems. It's okay that you're not the best running team still because,
You you
it's
still have
there's a little more room
Kelsey.
to
You
breathe.
still have you have Worthy.
Mhm.
You
You have
can
Hollywood Brown, who's
Hollywood
good.
Brown. Yeah. I
I think
think
he's underrated.
also the fact of Lamar did not finish this game.
Yes. Also, yeah, we're bearing the lead. The real story of this game is, oh fuck, Lamar Jackson's hurt for the first time in like 3 years. He pulled up on a run and he gets knocked out late in the game with a hamstring injury. Um, which I'm gonna be honest, it is kind of weird to think like going out of that Bills game, we were like, yeah, but they're probably the Super Bowl favorite still, right?
Yeah.
Because it's like, how many times is Derrick Henry gonna fumble the ball, and also they give up like 3 touchdowns in the last 10 minutes?
I'd like
Uh,
I'd like to point out the last week's question of the week where what team are we selling the stock from? I did say Baltimore.
yes, they've had a number of pretty significant injuries, both on offense and defense, and it just feels like the team. It
They're
really is the
falling
defensive
apart.
element. Right. Like the story of the Baltimore Ravens the last few years is like perfect synergy between having an elite offense based on EPA per play, but also having an elite defense based on
Yes.
EPA per play. And now that one of those things is out of sync,
They're
it
one
just
and
feels
three.
like the whole thing kind of feels like it's coming undone. And more than anything else, it's just really striking how like not good they've been at
Are
running the ball. The numbers look okay, partially ballooned because Justice Hill went on a 71-yard scamper,
yeah.
but like they've kind of been stuck. They've either been stuck in the mud or they haven't had the luxury of running the ball because they've been down.
Hmm. I'll tell you what
It just
though,
feels like the whole team is out of sync.
really rough first 4 weeks, and it's not gonna go a bad. I don't think it's gonna get much better because they played the Bills week 1 where they lost by one
Hmm.
point. They played they destroyed the Browns in week 2. They lost
Hmm.
by 8 to the Lions in week 3, so it's like all right. And
Those
then
aren't catastrophic. You're like, I understand why
that's
you lost
not
those
like
games.
yeah, those are like all right. You got slightly outplayed by Josh Allen. You got like you don't have somebody that's just right on top of on Monroe like so it's like all right, that's fine.
Hmm.
And then you have this Chiefs game where both teams going in 1-3, and they felt pretty like these two. I would say have been the AFC juggernauts for the last I don't know 6-7 years.
Hmm.
Like the Bills started peaking in, but I wouldn't say it was until like 4 years ago where it's like Josh Allen is just punching the door in, and it's just like, "Hi, I'm here now."
Right.
But because for a while it was the Lamar and Mahomes show, and then
Right. Like
next,
Lamar took off was the first of that class to take off, so it feels like this team has been in contention much longer than the
hmm
Bills or well, I guess the Browns and Jets it didn't
yeah,
really work out for, and obviously the Cardinals it didn't work out at all. But um, yeah, that is an interesting point. I didn't think about that. We have been on this run with Lamar for longer, and seeing it kind of
hmm
like, they'll probably be fine. It's not the end of the world right
yeah.
now. They lost a tough game to a Kansas City Chiefs team who looks like what we were hoping they would look like going into the year. But like,
I think
yeah, it is
I think
weird.
they're gonna get that. They're gonna get a very lucky mid to late season stretch of like sure they have the Browns again and who have a great defense, um, the Steelers, the Rams, but it's like, all right, we have this Dolphins team which just won its first game against the Jets, so that's not saying much. We have
Boy,
this so incompetent, they're borderline competent, like Bears team, and they have this Bengals, these absolute fools of Bengals. These they have the winless Jets, and I think it's this weird like, all right, we can take these injuries and have people sit out because we have this weird comfort layer from like weeks, I don't
mm,
know, 7 to 19, not 19. Whoa. Um that's what the people want for a football season. Week 7 to I think 15
those bastards. Um,
of like
yeah,
comfort teams that you can just stat pad against. Like,
right. Right. The Sky, as bad as it looks, and it sounds like Lamar's going to be out for a couple weeks, but like this is recoverable. Again, I don't think the Steelers team is good, who won that weird Ireland game, um, where it looked like a blowout and then it got closer at the end. But like this is theoretically recoverable from. This was much more important game for Kansas City because I'm like, I need to see signs of life, guys. Jeez.
hmm
And in a division where, like, I'm a little worried about the Chargers right now if they're missing the heart of their offensive line, but at least I can still you still have to deal with the Broncos, and well, I've given up on the Raiders, but you know,
Raiders are, I
like
think, starting to become a lost cause.
yeah, I'm really sorry, Kevin. Maybe next year.
And it's the
It's
WrestleMania
got to
did
happen
that with this
eventually.
year. I don't know why I keep thinking every offseason the Raiders are going to come back.
You have to believe, you have to believe they'll finish the story. The
Yeah.
story of can we make Kevin look smart once?
No. The answer is no.
Evidently not. Um, yes, but shall we move on to our don't sleep on games?
Sure. I'll go first because mine we kind of touched on a little bit.
Mhm.
Actually, a decent bit. Chargers Giants.
Yes.
What a fun game. Like, it
Yeah.
was, but first off, first touchdown went to Jackson Dart, who had a rush for 15 yards. And it's like, all right, new kid on the block showing up.
Mhm.
And I would say it was competitive. They bring, like, they continue going. Chargers kind of fight back 10-13 in the second half. And then it's just kind of like, all right, let's go. Um, let's see who's got what.
Right.
And
It is as frustrating a game as it was for the Chargers. They put up a good fight. Literally going into the final plays, I'm like, they could
yeah,
still win this.
I think if you were not a Chargers fan, you would have found this game enjoyable.
Yes. Um, yeah, honestly, like in terms of like the mantra of like don't sleep on, I do think this is a perfect example because like if you want to sound smart, like in a few weeks from the like around the water cooler or whatever Discord chat you're in, you could really be like, oh well, that Chargers Giants game was really important because it kind of set both teams up for success in the Giants case and failure in the Chargers case.
I like how
Um,
you listed two completely different circles on a Venn diagram where they're not touching so much, they're in separate Venn diagrams, Discord servers and water coolers.
Right. Work. Yeah. No. Because every fucking company now has like We made a
They're all
Slack.
Slack,
We made
yeah.
a Google Gobble. We made a Dick Twister. We made a Ghibli Jobbly. One of these days, I'm accidentally going to say a slur for Italians when I'm making a
You
nonsense word, and it's going to come back to bite my ass real bad. Our entire viewership will crater. It was all Italian Americans. Who would have thought? Uh, yes. Mine, I kind of broke the rules. Normally, we don't do our own home teams, but I do think partially because it's like, what can we say about what can we say about the Tampa Eagles game that hasn't already been said? What can we say about,
the
like,
Eagles actually won it
Houston?
for once. That's what
Well,
can we
yeah.
say.
You know what? That's the don't sleep on element. Like, good for them. Another game where the
I had
Eagles participate for a
no
half and then
faith.
kind of fizzle out.
I had
Oh,
no
yeah, I
faith.
had zero faith. Yeah, I almost didn't play Hurts. That's how little faith I had. Um, it comes down to a final drive by Baker where they just come up just short. The Eagles squeak that one out. Like, Houston beating up on Tennessee. What can we say about that? Jacksonville, San Fran. What can we say about that? But like, this Bills game is interesting because as we talked about, well, one, I just want to say I think Spencer Rattler might be the best 0-10 quarterback to ever live. That's an exaggeration. But like
yeah.
in terms of quarterbacks who haven't won a game yet, I'm kind of like impressed by him. Again, is he a top tier starting level quarterback?
No.
No. He's never going to be a top, like, I don't think he'll be top 12. I don't think he'll be top 15. But is he like
He'll
yeah.
max get top 25.
Yeah. Well, I think you could squeak up to 20, and that's my point. Like, I'm like, if you're a decent enough team and can just get in like the 25 to 20 range, again, I would argue that last Super Bowl year, Peyton Manning was like the 30th, if not worst, starting quarterback. His arm was just non-competitive. And I'm like, if you can just get to that, you can have a competent team. And again, I feel like this game was a good example of like a competent team. They took advantage of the weaknesses of the Bills, namely their hollowness on like their kind of weakness in the interior and on the exterior, which I'm realizing I'm just describing everything. But like the two weaknesses the Bills have right now is their ability to stop the run isn't great, and they're not really good at like mano a mano covering good wide receivers. Like they're good as a group. They can like, the pass rush is okay. They're good enough in zone. But like when they have to go mano a mano, like they're kind of getting cooked by Olave and Shaheed during this game.
Mm-hmm.
Like this game was really close up until the end.
Threw an
Yes.
interception, Olave.
Yes. Well, that's also fun because in terms of like the interesting plays of the year and really a momentum changer, I really do think Kellen Moore thought like he could really like break the spirit of the Bills by doing a reverse wide receiver throws it to Spencer Rattler. And Cole Bishop, who's been an absolute nothing this year so far, truly, he's really only playing because we truly have no other options at safety. And also we drafted him with the second round pick. Sees it, sprints, makes a one-handed, like Odell-esque interception, and kind of like saves the game. Yeah, it was a weird, bewildering game because it really was just watching. Like it really was like the Bills would move it, then they'd get a penalty, then they'd take a sack, then they'd have to punt it. Where you're like, I feel like you should be winning by a lot more than you are, and really it just comes down to a two-play sequence where Josh Allen just scrambles for 27 yards clean through the heart of the team and then throws a touchdown pass on literally the next play. I think this game represents flowers for the Saints of like continuing to be competitive despite circumstances not backing them up, and a bit of a red flag for the Bills in terms of like the rush to crown them the Super Bowl favorite. Like the weaknesses from last year are still there, arguably worse, really. And I'm just kind of waiting for that classic Bills lose an inexplicable game moment to kind of wake everyone up to like the doomer perspective.
Mm-hmm.
Shall we move on to the lows? We got a couple interesting ones here.
Yeah. Let's start with yours. AD has a BD, but BD stands for bad day, and AD stands for
Adonai Mitchell.
Oh, after the death.
His
of
nickname
Christ.
is AD. Yeah. Well, I mean, that was a pretty bad day for him. I mean, I know it was like his prophecy and whatnot, but like in the moment, he's probably like, man, this fucking blows. Ow! Stop! Come on! Yeah, and then we lose even more viewers. Half our viewers were Christians. Well, I guess, statistically that one makes sense. But yes, So, and we can tie this one in with Indiana Jones gets his first L of the season.
Mhm.
So, what's funny is I'm not overly concerned about this game. So, to recap, the Indianapolis Colts played the LA Rams. Sorry, pulling up the actual schedule list. But they played in kind of one of the low key fun matchups of the day.
It
Like, really a
was
good test for both teams.
it was pretty fun. Won't deny that.
Yes, a classic. And finally, it's fun when Matthew Stafford's stats match the eye test.
Mhm.
He was slinging it around the yard all day. He threw for 375 yards. And honestly,
Good
it's
for him.
again the eye test thing. You're like, he could have thrown for 500. That's how good he looked. Puka Nakua continues to look like the best. Again, God bless Matthew
Top
Stafford for
receiver.
fantasy in
What a
terms of, yeah.
Puka's such a steal from the draft because he went in like the third or fifth
Fifth?
round. Fifth round?
Y-
Yeah. It was
I think the fifth round.
it was third or fifth, and I think it was fifth, and it's just like what a steal this guy was.
Classic hyperfixation on my part of like, I see one draft profile of him and I'm like, why doesn't everyone try to draft this guy? But like, again, it's funny how they kind of reconstituted the offense for the Rams, where Puka Nakua takes the Cooper Cup role of like, you're the workhorse, you're going to get every route under the sun. We're going to do end arounds, we're going to do screen passes, we're going to do slant runs, we're going to do deep shots. Like, you kind of have to do everything, but like in a cool way because they'll be accurate passes, so you get a lot of stats. And then Devonte Adams, it's interesting because like the McVay offense is interesting because he really likes having a lot of like supercomputers. He likes having coaches effectively on the field. Stafford being like a like scholar of the game and being able to dissect defenses. And Devonte Adams, even in his older age, he's like you listen to him talk and you realize how much of like a geek he is about like route running and the art of like getting open. So seeing these two together is like a match made in heaven. But it honestly was a pretty close game for the majority of it. And it really came down to like two kind of catastrophic plays from Adonai Mitchell, the second year wide receiver from Texas. Physical freak, kind of raw. There was a whole thing. Do you remember during the draft, it was said like he was falling because apparently he had really bad interviews.
Yeah.
And it turns out he's a diabetic. And like it sounds like he might have just been having a problem with his sugar. Um,
What
but
a
anyway,
weird moment.
isn't it so stupid the weird little things that can change careers? Like truly, just the most arbitrary shit sometimes. Um, the game did start. I will say, Daniel Jones did throw an interception on the first drive, and I was like, oh boy, here it comes.
He's
But then he
back.
immediately, yeah, it's like, oh boy, the bubbles burst. The AI bubbles burst. Everyone run. But then they take the lead 10-3 in the second quarter. I'm like, no, he's fine. That was just a weird situation. But it's like these two plays. Jones actually throws a perfect pass to Adonai, who like kind of mosses a guy to get it. Proceeds to go 75 yards, and it is the classic like guy loses the ball just before the goal line. He tries to change hands, and it bumbles out of the end zone. Touchback. Like 7-point swing
shot.
right there.
Yeah.
I maintain my stance that unless it is a case where you are diving for the end zone or a defender makes a play, like if you're slowing down and the defender slaps it out of your hand, of course that counts because that's a football play. But when it is a non-football play and there is no one who has the chance to make a football play, I still think it's hog water to like call that a fumble. That's just my like boomer opinion. But then it fucking happens again. So, like, he has another play, and I'm trying to remember exactly what drive oh, here it is. It's like their second to last drive. Jonathan Taylor goes for a 53-yard touchdown, called back because of offensive holding Adonai Mitchell. Actually backbreaking, because that would have effectively, well, they would have taken the lead with not a lot of time left. And instead, one play, 88-yard shot to Tutu Atwell, of all people, to take the lead for the Rams. And then unfortunately, a classic Daniel Jones moment, tries to chuck a deep intercepted end of game. And it's interesting because if that fumble didn't happen, Adonai Mitchell would have had one of the all-time great games a Colts wide receivers had. But because he did, it's like, oh God, what is going to happen to his career? And again, it is funny that I mentioned the diabetes thing because it really is like the weird arbitrary twists and turns a career can take based off the most arbitrary things of like, I tried to change hands and I dropped the ball, or the ref decided to call holding this one time.
Mm-hmm.
And yet I'm not worried about the Colts because, like, if we're saying
I
that the Rams are like one of the teams to beat this
I
year, like
think
they're one of the teams who gets to sit at the table,
yeah,
they played them well.
they're 3-1, and both teams are technically 3-1 now. I think it's it's the matter of they were delivered their first loss,
Right.
which is kind of nuts in itself.
Mhm.
But they the Rams have a top tier defense,
Yes.
and
And you can move on them.
yeah, that's you're making moves. You're losing by one score against them, and it was a score that they got with 90 seconds remaining, give or take. Um,
Mhm.
minute 33 is when they last scored. So
Right.
this is just pointing out that they got a loss after so they're not gonna have this weird Cinderella story perfect season. That's it.
Mhm.
But
Right.
they're kind of got this put up and shut up moment vibe going about them this season where I'm kind of scared for their like they're against the Chargers, Steelers, Chiefs later in the season, and it's just I'm curious to see how this is going to go. They still have Texans twice, 49ers, Seahawks, where
Right.
this has gone from guaranteed wins for these teams before the season, after the schedule is released, to oh, this is kind of this is not a guarantee. Because let's
Right.
just take the first month. The first month, how the Colts have been playing, and the first month, how the Chiefs have been playing. And they play November 23rd, according to the schedule I'm looking at.
Mhm.
That's going to be a very interesting ball game.
Right.
Just saying.
And honestly, I do think that is and again, maybe that's why I'm feeling more positive because it's like my takeaway from this game is like, oh, here we go. The Colts were fake. It's like, no, they're going to give people trouble. And it's just a matter of how many wins they can get. Like, can they lock up that playoff
Can
spot?
can they get that playoff spot before the? Ow! Stop it! I'm being jumped by a cat.
Oh, Bean.
No,
Or is it
Carmilla.
Carm?
It's Carm.
Carm. Come on, man.
Um, yeah, the Texan. It's the Texans put a absolute slaughter on the Titans, but I feel like that's one of those weird things because Texans are now 1-3.
Mhm.
But I th- I think this is going to be a very interesting race for the AFC South now
Mhm.
because you have
Because the Jaguars are quietly good.
the Jaguars are quietly 3-1, very
I don't.
quietly three and
I
one,
don't get it.
and it's
Like I
kind
have
of
no answers
crazy.
for that.
So I think this is going to be I think between the Jaguars, like Jaguars, Colts, and if the Texans can keep up this smackdown that they put on, but I don't have
Mhm.
much faith because they got some difficult teams, starting with the Ravens, but we'll talk about more of that later. Um, I think this could be a very interesting week 14 on again, like it was 2 years ago, I think, last year,
Mhm.
where you're going to have three teams duking it out for this last spot. And I think it's if you put any of these teams in other divisions, I don't have believe in them that much. But when they're fighting amongst themselves, it's we might have some good late season football from the AFC South.
Right. Could we finally have the division be good, please?
Also,
But
kind of dropped it for a second. Titans get a goose egg. Yep.
Yes. Well, yeah, let's just cover that real quick. I mostly want to bring it up because Cam Ward probably had the quote of the year when talking about it. He said, I think he said one or two words I am not allowed to say, but I'll say the parts I can say. If we keep it a buck right now, we ass. We're 0-4. At this point, we've got nothing to lose. We dropped a quarter of our fucking games, and we've yet to do anything. So we got to lock in, especially myself. And you know what? Good for him.
He's got moxie
Right.
about this.
Again, it's like you get why they drafted him because it's like I want to be
This
led by a guy who's like that.
this is a very much a winner's mentality. Like he's on the Titans. They're not an amazing team. Won't deny that.
Mm,
Although rookie receiver Elric Ayo Manor, a name I'm not gonna try to pronounce any more than that.
it's okay.
Um, he's kind of showing up at this like position again, but Cam Ward at least has a good head about him. Where honestly, if you put Shador on the Titans with this, like the world of hypotheticals, Cam Ward was replaced by Shador. Scores somehow end up exactly the same. Obviously, that's not how it works. I feel like
Mhm.
it would be so much more of a negative mindset based off of how much we learn about Shador more and more as time goes on.
Right. Should we acknowledge the weird because they announced going for next week? Gabriel Davis is going to play, and Rex Ryan went on a weird tirade. And like, I honestly, a part of me wants to be softer to Shador because why was Rex Ryan being such an ass about it? But he was like,
He's
"This is
Rex
on you,
Ryan.
man. You
I
got to
feel like I
step
don't
up."
need to say anything else.
Yeah, honestly, the less said, the better. But like, yeah, Shador was being weird, and you are kind of like, yeah, I get it. And like, I know professional decorum, and you're supposed to, and a couple of his teammates were like, yeah, maybe keep that off mic, but like, he's not wrong. But I'm like, you know what? No, like, and maybe that's just how I view leadership and how I like feel about things. But like, no, I want you to be pissed off. I want you to be
Oh
visibly
yeah,
pissed off. This is unacceptable. I
you
want to know you're as mad as I am about this.
yeah. There's losing like a real locker room leader is dependent on how they handle like losses and having to step up to situations. But
Mhm.
they like it's all how they handle it and how much like they do it. You have people like Jalen Hurts he's very quiet about it and that could be unnerving to some people, but he's never pushing the blame, which I think is a key characteristic of being a good leader of he's not like, "Oh, it's AJ Brown's fault that we're barely winning these." Despite what Philadelphia media wants you to believe.
Yeah,
It's
everyone's got to calm down.
it's like he's like, "I got to do better. We have to work on things as a group. We got to handle this like men." And he's got this strong silent type, which is like, all right, I'm not surprised you have the entire team like has your back. And then you have the more egotistical approaches, where
Mhm.
you might blame other people every once in a while, or you're just like, nah, I'm a winner, and winners win. And you know what happens after every time I see the clip of Patrick Mahomes saying, "I don't lose," is just a hard cut to him just getting beaten up in the Super Bowl by the Eagles defense.
See, sometimes I worry we talk about that too much.
No,
Sometimes I think we live in the nostalgia, but at the same time, I'm like, my God, what a game.
yeah,
Like, we're never going to see a game like that ever again.
no,
You're not allowed to do that in a Super Bowl.
anymore, no. But I think this is like a very appropriate level response of he's passionate, he's not blaming his team, but he's taking
He's being
credit for it.
blunt.
He's being blunt about it, and I support it. I'll
Yes,
be
I
honest,
thought it ruled.
like there's been some players you've pitched to me over the years where I'm just like, I don't, I'm not seeing what you're vibing with, Carter. But this one might be one that I think is the fastest winning me over.
Right. We're pretty deep in. I do want to next week for our question of the week be like, who are we adding to our like Sweet Baby Boy compilation? Like who are we adding
Yeah.
to our scrapbook of characters we want to follow?
Write
And
it.
I will stand behind Cam Ward still. I'm stumping.
Write it on the question of the week on the Google Doc. That way we won't forget by the time we record it.
I will after I go get dinner after this. And then Bengals are out of ideas, quit on live TV. Maybe the saddest Monday Night Football game I've seen in a long time. The Denver Broncos beat the Cincinnati Bengals 28 to 3. To 3. They got the pity field goal, make no mistake. It really felt like a game, especially the back half. It really just felt like a game with a get right game for the Broncos of like, look, our offense hasn't looked as good as it probably wants to. Our defense has been good, but not as good as it was last year. Let's just work. Let's just try out some things. They got their first 100-yard rusher since Sean Payton got there. I've really warmed up. I might put J.K. Dobbins in my well, he's older, but my baby boy collection because like he did a whole interview with ESPN Deportes in Spanish, and I was like, that's really cool that you did that.
That's fun. I liked that.
Right, and then he didn't know one word, and he just said it in English because he's like, sorry, I don't know. But yes, the Bengals truly were just not competitive this game. I believe they had 53 yards on the ground. Chase Brown is looking like a real dud. Like he looks like a guy who's wholly dependent on his offensive line being good.
Yes, he's so good if he gets a good enough start. He's scary quick. It's just he doesn't have that.
Yeah, it's just this offense is bad though. So he looks bad. Averaging 5 yards a throw, and it was just so sad watching like I think there were like 5 or 6 attempts to just spark anything where the offense basically just boiled down to if we don't take a sack on this play, just throw it up as far as you can and hope Chase or Higgins can make a play on it. And the answer every time was nope.
And T. Higgins, if you do not have somebody that can throw it to them, you're screwed because these two are phenomenal. Ja'Marr Chase
right, or like even just scheme them up plays. Like God, throw a screen pass, like do quick games, something.
Ja'Marr Chase might be like the top receiver.
Yes,
and he's holding that solidly, but he doesn't have a quarterback that can throw it to him.
Right. I will say this game gave me a newfound appreciation for Kevin O'Connell because like people have mentioned like Justin Jefferson has had a weird collection and like history of quarterbacks, and it's like, well, that's what a great offensive coach can do. Yeah, can figure out like how to scheme up their guy open and make sure that no matter how ass or how good the guy throwing him the ball is, he's gonna get his and look good doing it. Whereas like it just feels like they don't have a plan, and that's what I mean when I'm like they quit on live TV. You're like, you have no vision to get out of this. It truly feels like you've just punted on the season. And it's like, are you really going to make, you just spent all this money. Are you really going to make Henderson and Chase and Higgins all just go like, well, I guess we have to wait another year. And like, where's especially because it's like, at least the last time Joe Burrow got knocked out for most of the year, it's like, well, this sucks. But we were in the Super Bowl 2 years ago and the AFC title game a year ago. Like, we just got to gut it out for 1 year, and then we'll all lock in. Like, I think the most telling thing, and why I said they quit on live TV, it literally was the end of the game. There's like 5 minutes left. They're not even close to midfield. But instead of just going for it, they just punt it. And something about that was like so depressed. Like they managed to, they get a first down, and then they just go like, not even try it. Let's just end the game. And the Broncos proceed to eat up the last like 3 minutes. And I'm like, you're not even going to like pity fight? Like, I'm not asking you to win the game. I'm asking you to just fucking do something, man.
Yeah.
It's looking real bleak. And at this point, I'm like, do you even bother trading for anyone? Like, is there enough here to like warrant it? If you're doing it just not to get embarrassed at this point. Like, it's not even about winning anymore.
Here's who they have left. They have the Lions. They have the Packers, the Steelers twice, the Bills, the Ravens twice, the Browns again. It is.
I need the Bills to drop 40 on them. They have been the bane of our existence for most of this run. I need a little bit of a beatdown for that.
I mean, if this offense puts up 3-28 against the Broncos, it's going to be like 1,000,000-7 against the Bills.
Yeah, it's just what a fucking bummer. Like, I know there was angst going into the season because it's like, the defense still wasn't great, the offensive line still wasn't great, but at least there was like hope, man. Christ, what a bummer.
Joe
And again, it's
Burrow,
like too
yeah,
many good skill position players for this shit.
Joe Burrow, Jamar Chase, T. Higgins, perfect triangle. You have Brown as your main running, and it's like, all right, I wouldn't say he is like officially part of the group, but you're kind of in this Butters role of the people are gonna love you and you're gonna be involved a lot, but you're not like one of the main guys.
Well, that's such what was that pull?
What? You don't watch South Park?
Butters?
Yeah.
I do. It's just like that's your pull? I forgot you've been watching it more lately.
Yeah. Not. Butters is like the unofficial fifth man of the group, of the four boys.
Well, I know that.
And it's
I know the show. I just thought it was a weird reference.
all right. I feel judged from that coming from you of all people. But
yeah, but like that's my bit. That's my persona.
Clearly
Like
you do not pay attention to enough of me and Callum's conversations.
I do, but I just feel like that one in particular. Usually it's like an anime. I don't know, man. Fine. I apologize. Are you happy?
Yeah. And
Oh,
anyway,
right.
Bengals are bad.
Yeah, sad. Notable notes: the first tie of the season, or as I'd like to say, the game of the year. At this time of year, localized exclusively in Dallas a second time. I had another. Maybe I'll just get to do this all year.
It was a bloodbath, and I loved it. But also, it ended in a tie. Like, come the fuck on. Also, a 40-40 tie. So that means both offenses were on fire and both defenses were in the fire.
Yes, truly, defense need not apply. I believe there was one, and like, I feel like it's a more interesting end to the sort of Micah Parsons to leaves Dallas story that that Dallas actually was competitive in this game, because it would have been lame if it's like, Green Bay just bullies Dallas. Like, what? Good for them for showing up.
Lame if Green Bay bullied Dallas. I think it would have been lame if Green Bay bullied Dallas. I don't think it would have been lame if Micah Parsons bullied Dallas.
Right.
That would have been fun.
Right. And to Micah and it's very clear they were like, he cannot make a single impact play. And yet he did at the very end of the game during overtime manage to get one sack that forced, it was either the last drive of regulation or during overtime. He did get the one sack that forced, yes, it was the final drive of overtime for the Cowboys. He did manage to get one sack when Dak looked like he had a clean path to the end zone that allowed them both to kick field goals. And they both had like the gentleman's like, we're good. Both of them are just like spewing blood, beaten and battered. Like, all right, we good? We're cool with a tie here. And both teams just said yes. But I just want to rattle off the drives here. So touchdown, punt, 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 second quarter. Touchdown, punt, punt, touchdown, fumble, touchdown, end of half. It's, you know what? I'll skip ahead to the fourth quarter because this is when things get fun.
This is just crazy.
Yeah, from the end of the third quarter, the last two drives of the third quarter, touchdown, touchdown, and then touchdown, 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 field goal. They tie the game at 37-37, field goal. Again, if you love offense, you are a pig in slop for this game.
Huge games for if you had Jordan Love, Dak Prescott, Javonte Williams, Pickens, Josh Jacobs on your teams for fantasy.
Honestly, my biggest takeaway is I kind of love, I really do love Pickens on the Cowboys. It really is striking of like, Pickens in terms of his physical skill set and what he's able to do with like splash plays. You're like, I feel like you should be a top 10 or 15 wide receiver. Why aren't you? And the answer, it seems like, was, well, he had ass quarterbacks. He had bad quarterbacks in Pittsburgh. Give him a good quarterback and he looks good. Yes. Give him one other good wide receiver and a good quarterback to work with, and he looks like a top flight wide receiver. And he still is as dynamic as he ever was. I will say on the Green Bay side, I feel like this game would be less of like concerning if they hadn't just lost to Cleveland. Mm-hmm. Whereas now I'm like, were we a little too
too quick?
Did we crown these guys too soon?
They were, because they had a very hot start with weeks 1 and 2.
Right. maybe Detroit just had a bad week that week. Maybe everyone had COVID or fish that didn't agree with them. Like, we do kind of have to. I do feel like we kind of have to wait and see
I think it's gonna.
with Green Bay,
They also have a week 5 bye, so we're
which
not
makes this
gonna.
harder because we don't immediately get answers. You're
Yeah,
right.
we're not gonna have answers until week 6, where they play the Bengals, which I feel like this has to be a slaughter for Green Bay if they
Agreed.
want it to look dominant again. Because I think this is what's putting them in a super, like, if say we were putting everyone in a ranking chart,
Hmm.
how good they look against the Bengals in week 6 will be what puts them in either the Super Bowl contender tier or the maybe going to get a win in the playoffs tier.
Hmm.
I think that's going to be the I think that performance will be the difference.
Agreed. Yeah, I just need to see a little more from the defense in particular, but in general, I just want to see a little more. Because again, Green Bay is a team I want to believe in because I think they have a lot of cool players and I think they have a good coaching staff. But it
Mm-hmm.
always feels like they are just like a step behind where we want them to
Yeah.
be. Um, and now for our question of the week. If you could make two other teams tie this week, who would it be? Do you mean week 4
Week 4.
or going into week 5?
So two teams, like, we just completely changed the results because here's a list of all the games that were not one score games for week 4. It is Falcons versus Commanders was one score. My bad. Texans 26, Titans 0.
Oh.
Quick math there. That is under 7. Bills Saints, Patriots 42, Panthers 13, Lions 34,
Yuck, I forgot about that one.
Browns 10, and that's it. Everything else was a one score. Actually, technically, Chiefs Ravens was 2 score, but that and Broncos Bengals, but that game is a wash.
We're not counting that.
Um,
You know what? I got an answer
Everything else was
immediately.
one.
Seahawks Cardinals, because
Interesting
that
choice.
game
That was a very
was
close game, and that was a fun
right.
game.
Yeah, that game was a roller coaster because Marvin Harrison Jr. bumbled a pass that led to an interception, and I'm like, oh god, is this where his career spirals out of control? He actually has a really good touchdown
Mm-hmm.
to tie the game at the 11th hour, only to have Sam Darnold march downfield and set them up for the game-winning field goal. I'm kind of low key, like, I genuinely think we might need to include Seattle at like the VIP bar service thing now. Between the
Yeah.
defense and the offense looking better than I thought it would, I'm like,
This
I'm running out of reasons not to say they're a serious
Now that we're
contender.
hefty into this, and like we said, we're getting comfortable. I think we can say they are not a pacer team this year for like playoff bound teams.
Hmm. Yes, I agree. At worst, they're a pacer team. I'm probably hesitant to put them in like the divine table for the Super Bowl just because I need to see Sam Darnold win a football game. I've seen Lamar Jackson win a football game. I've seen Josh Allen win a lot of
Mm-hmm.
playoff games. I've seen Patrick Mahomes win a lot of playoff games. I've seen Jalen Hurts and I've seen the guys who are I
The guys who
had
are the
yeah,
guys.
Jared Goff won one. Yeah. I just need to see it to believe it, that sort of
Mm-hmm.
thing. But yeah, that's the game I'd make a tie because that one was a fun one, and I think it'd be more interesting for the fate of the West. That would be how the West was won.
That would be very
Um,
crazy if that was how it happened. Um,
yes.
my game is a lot more petty and a lot more silly than that one.
Oh, come on. What is it?
It's Miami Jets.
Why?
Because
Why torture those poor
how
bastards?
funny would it be if both teams are 0-3-1?
We learned nothing from this.
Yeah, I think it's just this. I think it would just be a silly stat line. That's
I
it.
mean, you're not wrong. I do love the consternation because there's so many Jets adjacent people in the media. Like,
Mm,
Greeny is always going off about it. Can you believe it's almost like 10 years since Mike and Mike broke up? Isn't that so weird to
that's
think
weird.
about? But like he was going on a whole rant of like, this is unacceptable. This team is good. They shouldn't be like this. And I'm like, are you sure? Like,
Mm-hmm.
again, all the talk about like this is a good team that just needs a good quarterback. And I'm like, awful teams have gotten much further with okay quarterback
Yeah,
play. Like again, the
it's
Cleveland Browns won a playoff game with Joe fucking Flacco.
I I'm believing less in Justin Fields, um, because he's pretty good, but it's just like you have him Hall, um, Wilson, where it's just like this should be like an absolute destructive group, and it is just not. They're scoring though. It's not like they're getting. Let's see, they're 0-4 right now. They lost by 2 to the Steelers, 2 to the Buccaneers, 6 to the Dolphins, and 20 to the Bills.
I
They
will
just
say,
can't finish.
yeah, and I hate to say it, but it really is like I feel like Fields might just be the best who's ever done it in terms of like not a good real life quarterback, but a great fantasy quarterback.
Mm-hmm.
Because it's so funny how much of his
His
stats
crazy
come in the
stat
fourth
lines.
quarter when it doesn't matter. It really is like, don't look at the box, because I decided to make him my starting quarterback, and you really just have to not look at the box score. Just do not look at the score until the fourth quarter, when he'll inevitably have a 50-yard run and throw two touchdowns, but it doesn't matter because the game was already out of hand.
Mm-hmm.
And I am like, and I want to
Yeah, they
believe.
got
I've been.
narrative.
He might have been my original like sweet baby boy, because I'm like, he has such a unique skill set, and if someone could just make something out of it, I will say the people who are like ready to throw him out, I am like,
I don't.
guys,
I
I've
wouldn't
seen
go that
Sam
far.
fucking right. I'm like, man, Sam fucking Darnold is a plus level starting quarterback now. I refuse to believe that like we
Uh,
can't make something
I
work with this.
I think he's definitely the. I mean, Justin Fields definitely a top 32,
Hmm.
including injured starters. Just throwing that out there. And I
Hmm.
think he's one of those people that if we really mapped out who was better and who was worse, he's going to be higher. He would be higher than we both predicted if we set
I
a
agree.
number. Like if we really sat down and just did it, because it's like you have some people that he's worse than. Um, Allen, Jackson, Mahomes, like that's clear. But then
Hmm.
him versus Cam Ward, him versus give me some other freaking team with a quarterback. I wouldn't say Browning because I would include Burrow on the list, but him
Right.
versus Rattler, like honestly, even him versus McCarthy. Um,
Right. I'm like, I'd rather have him
it's
than McCarthy.
it's just like one of those like like you're gonna have a crazy like secretly high ranking apparently.
Right. Right.
Anyway, I
Uh,
think it would be funny if both teams had no wins, 3 losses, and a tie. That's
yes. Shall we move on to next week?
yeah. All right, starting off next week, we got London.
Again?
Well, last week was Dublin.
God, are we really
Week
gonna have a fucking European game every week?
not every week. It just no, week 7 we have a European week. Not until week 8. Week 8 is when will be good because we have so coming up with week 5 or week 4 we had Dublin with Vikings Steelers. Week 5 we have London with Vikings Browns. Week 6 it's Broncos Jets in London. So yeah, it's London week 2. And week 7 I hit too far back, so I have to scroll a little bit. Where are you playing? Oh, London 3. Apparently there's a third London because they're playing at Wembley.
I just
And I'm pretty
what's
sure
your
isn't
play,
there a game
Roger?
in like Madrid at some point?
Maybe have we had the Germany one yet? They always do. They really want a Germany
Falcons
game.
Colts is in Germany in week 10. Whenever
Springtime
November,
for panics
yeah,
in
week 10.
Germany. Oy
That will
vey.
be fun. And then week 11 we
Um,
have another one.
it is very funny to put Dylan Gabriel's first start in a London game. That is a good bit. I respect
Yeah,
it.
week 11
Um,
is in Madrid. God damn.
I told you, there's too many.
Now I'm starting to agree with you.
Yeah, I
What is this
just don't know what the
4:30
play
game?
is. Because they already
Oh,
abandoned the idea to make an
Thanksgiving.
expansion league. Like, they gave up on that. Like, I think I've mentioned it a couple times. The original vision was kind of like hey, could we permanently have a team in like London
That doesn't work.
or Madrid?
uh,
Yeah, it's like that's so weird. It would have been weird even before COVID, and then COVID's like, all right, let's just pretend.
yeah, you
But
would need
anyway,
like, just saying, you would need like 6 weeks, like the majority of your season to be planned, and just jumping from stadium to stadium in the states,
I
and then
believe the
having your
logic would have been, yeah,
home games in a
I
like a slot at the end, or vice versa.
I believe the logic was they would have had 8 straight home games, 8 straight away games, and they would have had a home base maybe in the Carolinas or like. I do think there was a thinly
Somewhere they
veiled
can,
thread of like we'll move, yeah, somewhere where it's easy to go back and forth.
yeah, somewhere
Like
where
they'd
you
have a
can
home
travel.
base during the year.
Okay.
But anyway,
All
what are
right.
the what
Anyway,
would you say are the big games this week?
honestly, for week 5, I don't really see one. Like, you have,
I think Patriots and Bills is kind of significant.
that is a very odd choice for Sunday Night Football, and I mean, Patriots are kind of like 2-2. They're not like looking bad. They kind of put a absolute smackdown on the Panthers, but like, that is like the Sunday Night Football game, and it's just like, is that the is that the best matchup for it? I wouldn't say yes, but nothing is like, oh god, like, we gotta watch the Saints versus the Giants. We
Mhm.
gotta, like, oh man, if it's not like Chiefs Jaguars, it's just like, there's nothing like, there's no game that's like, oh my god, this is like an absolute like death match, like Ravens Chiefs was, where it might
Mhm.
not have gone in the Ravens' favor, but it's at least like, no, this is a scary level of healthy competitive. That's just my vibes on it.
Right. That's fair. Um, well, see, the game I think is the biggest is actually my don't sleep on game. Tampa Seattle, a
Great
rematch
pick.
of the two. Yeah, a rematch of the first two quarterbacks selected in what's becoming kind of maybe one of the great quarterback draft classes. The 2018 draft class that included Baker Mayfield, Sam Darnold, Josh Allen, Josh Rosen, and Lamar Jackson. They, at one point, both Sam and Baker were on the same team in Carolina. I do love someone
That's
interviewed
crazy.
him that was like, "Do you guys reminisce about the good old days?" And it's like, I don't think those days were really good, to be honest with you. Um, but yes, two teams who I very much have enjoyed watching. In terms of like teams, I get excited that I'm going to get to see them on TV. It probably
This
is like the
is
Buccaneers and the Seahawks.
this is a very even matchup, and I like it for that, I would say.
Mhm. Yes. The Seahawks play absolutely sick, nasty defense, but also have an incredibly like fun boomer bust offense built around JSN. And the
And both teams
Buccaneers,
are 3-1.
yes, exactly. This actually could decide seeding in the NFC. Yeah, no, it's a game I'm really excited for. Like I said,
I
Emeka
think that's
Ibuka has
very
become
fun.
one of my guys. I'm
Hmm.
excited to see it.
Yes.
And yours is.
Mine is like of the same, but also slightly different. I went
Mhm.
with Texans Ravens because these two, I believe, have played in the playoffs very recently,
Oh yes.
and you have this, like, these two very recently top tier teams coming into this matchup at 1-3.
Mhm.
And I think, first off, both teams being 1-3, not just one team, crazy. But
Yes.
I think this is kind of like a, let's show them what you got kind of mentality from the Texans, because I like the Texans defense. Um,
Mhm.
and with uh, Lamar Jackson being pulled for Cooper Rush at the end of last game, and his status, I believe, is currently unknown. I don't think he has got anything confirmed at this moment in time. Uh, it's like, all right, are they going to be playing against Cooper Rush or Lamar Jackson, which is two very drastically different calibers of quarterback?
Right. I'm sorry though, but with the amount of talent that's on the Ravens, you should still win Cooper. At least keep a competitive Cooper Rush.
Yeah, I
Like,
can agree to that.
yeah, it is funny. These are kind of opposite games where it's like the Bucks and Seattle are like the pleasant surprise teams where you're like, I want to see which team has the inside track to a top seed.
Yeah,
Whereas this game is like
it's
Why are you both so disappointing?
like in the world of wrestling, it's literally like you have Bucks in Seattle, which is like Roman Reigns versus Seth Rollins, two top guys just gonna slug at it, and it's going to be fantastic and fun to watch. And uh, Ravens Texans is going to be like watching when Hulk Hogan would get into fights with like Ric Flair in the late that like 2010s on TNA, where it's just like, can we not watch these two rambling old men just think about hurting each other? This is like, I'm not saying somebody needs to be put down, but like one of you needs to tear an ACL so this doesn't happen again.
Jesus Christ.
I have very interesting thoughts about old wrestlers. Although every once in a while, like a Buccaneers game or some event, you get Ric Flair on this long ramble for no reason, and it's hilarious. It's literally like Grandpa Simpson talking about tying an onion to his belt, kind of like vibes. It's great. Him,
Right.
Scott Steiner was another
Yeah.
delusional man.
I was gonna say it's funny that you have strong feelings about old wrestlers, considering I feel like that's like a cornerstone of the genre.
Yeah. Well, I mean,
Not
yeah,
a good cornerstone, but it's one of them.
it is a cornerstone of the genre. But it's like as time goes on and stuff, you have this like almost equivalent exchange of people that died way too young, like Andre the Giant, and then
Yes.
you have people that are like they stayed in the business, but they're not like trying to make themselves look like the guy. They're not trying to beat themselves up. It's kind of like John Cena's premise for his retirement tour that's going on this entire calendar year. Of
Mhm.
he's like, I don't have much left in this tank, and it is a fact. I need to stop before I start just putting on disappointing matches. And then
Mhm.
there's people who's like, all I know how to do is wrestle. I'm not going to stop. And then
Right.
it's like, and it's just like, oh, like snap, like you're going into this like John Cena's almost 50 years old, and he still looks pretty good because he takes care of himself. He never went through 80s and 90s wrestling where there was so much powder in a nose you can bake a cake with it. Um,
What a line.
yeah, that was definitely a choice. But so it's like these guys are like older, they're falling apart, and it's like they're late 60s, early 70s, and they're like, I still got this. And you learn things about them, and it's just like, huh, that's why even though he's dead and stuff, I still refer to him as known racist Hulk Hogan. Um,
Oh God, he did die.
yeah,
I literally forgot.
yeah, but it's like,
Well, I can't believe that poem his daughter made about everyone being a little bit racist didn't save him.
I think it's funny that years ago he sent out a tweet thinking Bam Margera died from of Jackass fame,
What?
and it's legitimate. I'll show you after we record. I'll send it to you. It's one of my favorite things. Bam, he tweeted out like years ago. It's like, Bam, sorry to hear about you. I'll miss you, brother. And Bam replied with, I'm still alive, brother. I miss you too. And then Bam Margera, for Hulk Hogan's death, tweeted that same exact message.
All right, that's pretty funny.
That's really funny, especially because Bam Margera's life is going down the shitter with his own fun level of drug problems. But it's like, all right, you're going through rehab and stuff, and it's like you're making a funny out of this. I'm not saying you're back, but it's like, all right, you're at least getting in a better mental health. Anyway, send us home,
Anywho,
Carter.
thank you all for listening. It's so good to be back. It's so good to have gotten through a quarter of the year. I feel like we're deep. Like it's so nice. I
It's
love
faster
nothing
than
more than being
expected.
in this like. Yeah, I love nothing more than being in this space of like football is just here. We're not. There's no anticipation. There's no like dipping your feet in. You're just cruising by the. You're just sitting by the nice autumn fire that is weekly football. We still got a ways to go. A lot of teams could surprise us. A lot of teams could break our heart. New stars can be born, new stars can fall, but no matter what, we'll be here to cover it, give you the news you need to know, and maybe make your autumn just a little bit sillier. Until then, we'll see you next week.